Hi there. Welcome back to the Coaching Corner at Tanglewood. I'm Julie Cassidy, and I invite you to settle in for a few minutes while we touch base on the subject of releasing negative emotions. So, if you are here and following this Caregiver series, the chances are that no matter who it is that you care for, there may have been moments where you recognize that you are not the shining example of who you can be when you're at your best. That was a convoluted way to say, are you carrying any guilt, anger, or shame? And sometimes that combination, which my sister suggested refers to gas, guilt, anger, and shame, not helpful, rather uncomfortable, and sometimes excruciating. So, I have run into caregivers who have expressed to me that they feel zero guilt, that they know deep in their hearts they are doing the very best that they can for the person they love and care for. Bravo. I love to hear that, but I can tell you it's rare. Most caregivers with whom I meet tend to really hold, whether it's one big ball of guilt or anger or shame, or if it's little separate chunks that kind of float around and rear their ugly head every once in a while. Um, it doesn't matter. Guilt, anger, and shame will typically arise somewhere in your caregiving journey. And that might look like something where if you're a parent to a child, no matter their age, perhaps you just snap one day. And I don't mean that you are abusing your child, but I just mean that you act in a way that is really not what you aspire to do. For instance, maybe you're in the middle of a department store or shopping with your children and they are not cooperative. And you just don't have any reserves left and you just lose your mind. Maybe you speak to them in a way that is not respectful and seems angry and hateful. And boy, does that leave a mark, not just on the child, but on your heart as well, because that is not who you are aspiring to be, right? Now, if you are an adult and you are caring for your aging parent, and perhaps they have a condition that does not allow them to be lucid and with it in the moment 24/7. I cared for two people living with dementia. And let me just say, I understand that is challenging. I have so many thoughts on that, and maybe that's a whole nother recording that I do down the road. But for now, here's what I want to say. If you have ever had a moment where you felt less than your beautiful, shining soul that you are, and you feel like you lost it or you acted in a way that you wish you could undo, I understand, and you are not alone. And I want to validate that although it's unfortunate, there are times when you are feeling just, even if you think you're okay, something can happen and you could just flip on a dime and go from loving, compassionate, who you are to someone who just is yelling and screaming or walks away in anger or I don't know what. But it's not a good situation. And I don't feel very eloquent describing this. I think because it drums up some very uncomfortable feelings, um, because it happens and it's probably never necessary, but it happens. We're humans and we fall down and cause harm at times. So, releasing negative emotions. What do you do with that? What do you do with that guilt or anger or shame or frustration, whatever it is, sadness, right? Grief. Especially caregiving for an aging parent, there's all that anticipatory grief is a big way of saying that grief that happens a little along the way each day because you know that it's just a matter of time before this person is out of your life. Ooh, this is a very heavy subject. Um, but when it comes to releasing the emotions that you're carrying around that don't serve you and certainly do not serve the person you care for, it's important to release these. Well, how do you do that? So I have a couple of different ways. Number one, I'm a big fan of getting a pad of paper. I love a blank, fresh pad of paper. Noticing what you're thinking and just writing those things down. I feel bad for what I said the other day. I feel bad that I was 15 minutes late doing this, that, or the other. I feel badly that I yelled and screamed. I feel badly that I broke a dish. Whatever the extent of your actions is, write it all down. Here's the thing. When we feel something, remorse of some kind or shame, and we don't acknowledge it and it just hangs out somewhere in our body or trapped in our mind, that does severe damage over time. So the idea here of writing it down is that you're getting in front of you and you're looking at it. It can't hide. It's there. You're looking at it. Be brave. Look at it. Take it head on. And then I want you to go inward and forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. And depending on your situation, go ahead. Ask for forgiveness from the person who received the brunt of whatever your commotion was. But forgive yourself. That is the key piece to this. Acknowledging and forgiving. There are other steps too that I go into more broadly during programs when I present this information. But to me, the two key pieces are acknowledging what happened, being really out there about it, writing it down, even if you're the only one who sees it, and then going inward and forgiving yourself, going outward and addressing it with whoever received your angst. Okay? So I hope that is helpful to you. I want to, as a friendly reminder, these emotions that we think we have so well managed, we are really fooling ourselves. Because what happens is those emotions, those negative emotions, are hanging out in your body and in your mind, and they are wreaking havoc because they are there, whether you acknowledge them or not, they are there. I want you to really visualize acknowledging them, forgiving yourself, and then turning it over, releasing and surrendering it for all time. Releasing and surrendering it for all time. Okay? And you can even have a little ceremony if you have a bonfire or a fireplace or a toilet, you can flush it down. Write it on that piece of paper, forgive yourself, ask for forgiveness, and then crumple it away, burn it, release it for all time. Okay? When you release it, it transmutes into something like love and light, and it can no longer be dark and negative and dense, and you are no longer carrying it around. You are freeing yourself from a situation that no one would blame you for. So I hope that you can find some form of comfort in that, in this very real conversation, this very raw conversation, and know that you are loved and that you are worthy of forgiveness. If you have any thoughts about this, or if there's a situation that came to mind, feel free to share that with me. You can reach me by email at julie@tanglewoodlifecoaching.com. I thank you so much, and I'll see you the next time. in the Coaching Corner at Tanglewood. Take good care and please be well.